The Glass Citadel asterisk asterisk. They said the city could never fall, not to time, not to silence, not even to forgetting. It shimmered upon the horizon like a mirage of glass and wind, rising from the endless plains where the sun bled its light into a sea of silver mist. Travelers who wandered too close would swear they heard its walls hum, as if the air itself carried a memory older than men. Yet no map dared mark its place, and those who spoke of it too often vanished into reverent silence, as though their voices had been taken by the wind. Leora had heard the stories all her life. They were told around fires when the stars were sharp and the air thin, about the citadel where time flowed differently, where the heart could forget pain, where even loss could be undone. No one she knew had ever gone there and returned. That was the point, they said. Those who reached the citadel never wanted to come back. She used to laugh at that. Until her world grew quiet. Until the laughter she once shared with her brother faded into an echo she could no longer reach. That was when the tales began to feel less like fables and more like a promise. So she walked. For 7 days she crossed the veil of mists, her boots sinking into earth that shimmered with faint reflections. The horizon never changed, always that glimmer, that faint spire of glass against the clouds, calling her onward like a pulse she could not ignore. Her lantern burned with a pale flame that never dimmed. A gift from an old seer who had said only one thing when she left: the citadel gives what you seek but never as you expect. By the 8th day, the mist thinned. The air grew warmer, softer, as though the land itself had been holding its breath. Before her rose the citadel, vast and translucent, a mountain of shimmering walls that bent light into rivers of color. There were no gates, no guards, no sound, only that low hum beneath her feet, deep and steady, like the heart of the world itself. She stepped forward, and the air rippled. The walls did not open, they simply allowed her through, like water parting for a hand. The inside was nothing like she expected. There were no corridors, no halls, only light suspended in motion, forms half seen, moments frozen in the glass. She saw faces, gestures, smiles caught mid-turn, like insects in amber. 1,000 scenes, each alive with emotion, but still untouched. When she reached out to one, a man's hand outstretched as if in farewell, the glass pulsed softly beneath her palm. A warmth spread through her arm, and for a heartbeat she felt his sorrow, wry and endless. She pulled back with a gasp. The walls shimmered, and a voice, soft as rainfall, spoke from everywhere and nowhere. You have entered the citadel of echoes. Every memory you touch will answer. Every truth you seek will ask for something in return. Leora steadied herself. I came for what I lost, she said quietly. The light trembled. Then show what remains. She closed her eyes and saw it. The moment she had tried to bury, the river, the storm, the empty shore. Her brother's laughter fading beneath the roar of water, his hand slipping from hers. The silence that followed. When she opened her eyes again, the glass around her had changed. It was no longer 1,000 memories, it was one, hers. The citadel had taken it. The air grew colder. To regain what is gone, you must cross the halls of reflection, the voice said. But each hall demands a part of who you were. Will you walk, knowing you may not remain the same? I will. And so the path appeared. A narrow bridge of light that wound upward through the vast chamber, its edges dissolving into mist. Leora took the first step. The first hall shimmered with 1,000 mirrors, some clear, some warped, all alive. Each reflected not her face, but the faces of those she had known. Her mother, her friends, her brother. They spoke without sound, their mouths forming words she could not hear. When she reached out to one, her reflection fractured, and the silence deepened. The first hall asks you to release the voices that haunt you, the citadel whispered. The echoes of what cannot be undone. She hesitated. The mirrors began to ripple, showing her brother's smile, his eyes bright and endless. If I let go, she whispered, I lose him. You lose the echo, not the essence. The difference defines whether you seek truth or illusion. Her hands trembled. Then, with a breath that shook her chest, she pressed her palm against the mirror. It shattered soundlessly, dissolving into light. One by one, she broke them all. Each time, a piece of the silence within her lifted, but something else dimmed to a piece of her laughter, her warmth, her youth. When the last mirror was gone, she stood in darkness. And then, the path ahead lit again. The second hall was nothing but still water stretching to the horizon. The surface reflected the sky, gold and violet, endless. The voice returned. The second hall holds the weight of truth. Step forward, and the water will remember you. Leora walked, and each step rippled outward, forming shapes beneath the surface, memories, moments she'd long buried. The times she had lied to herself. The The times she'd pretended she wasn't afraid. The times she had promised she'd never forget, yet had. One by one, they rose to meet her eyes. The water began to glow with her own reflection, older, wearier, stripped of illusion. Will you accept yourself without the story you've told? The voice asked. She stood still. The reflection waited. Finally, she whispered, yes. The water rose, wrapping around her like silk, and then fell away. The path cleared. By the third hall, her steps were lighter, though her heart felt hollowed. It was a chamber of wind and whispering light. Voices drifted around her, thousands of them speaking in languages she did not know, yet somehow understood. This is the Hall of Promises, the Citadel murmured. Every vow ever made, kept or broken, finds its echo here. The air shimmered with glowing threads connecting the voices, gold for promises kept, silver for those broken. They wove around her like living veins of light. As she walked, a single thread wrapped around her wrist. Silver, cold. Her brother's voice came, faint but clear. You'll never leave me behind. Her throat tightened. I didn't mean to. The Citadel does not ask intent. Only truth. The silver thread burned, then turned gold. She fell to her knees. Tears she hadn't known she still had falling soundlessly. The chamber pulsed with warmth, and the threads around her flared, weaving themselves into a single, luminous path. At its end stood a door made entirely of light. She reached for it, and the voice spoke one last time. Beyond this lies the heart of the Citadel. What you seek waits there. But once you enter, you cannot return as you are. Leora hesitated, her hand hovering above the door. The Citadel hummed, the sound deep and alive. What will I become? She asked. The reflection of what you truly seek. The voice answered. And as she stepped through, the world fell silent. The light dissolved around her. For a moment, there was nothing, no sound, no breath, no thought. Then she saw him, her brother, standing beneath a vast glass tree that shimmered like starlight. His smile, just as she remembered. Leora, he said softly. She ran to him, but when she touched him, her hand passed through light. The Citadel's voice returned, softer now, almost kind. You sought what was lost. The Citadel gives memory form, not life. He is the echo you carried here, the part of you that refused to fade. Leora's tears fell silently. Then why show me this? Because the echo is yours to keep or to free. The Citadel cannot decide what you hold in your heart. She looked at her brother's face, the light, the warmth, the impossible tenderness, and understood. He smiled, and in that smile, she saw both the pain and the peace she had been chasing. She closed her eyes. Then I let you go. The tree shimmered, the light folded inward, and with it, the echo faded not into nothing, but into her. The Citadel pulsed once, bright as sunrise, and then dimmed. When she opened her eyes, she stood outside again, on the endless plain. The Citadel glowed faintly behind her, silent and still. But in her chest, where grief had lived, there was now a quiet warmth like dawn waiting to rise. She turned and began to walk. Far behind her, the Citadel shimmered once more, as though in farewell. And somewhere within its glass heart, a new echo was born, the sound of footsteps leaving, not with sorrow, but with peace. The legend would say later that the Citadel had changed that day, that its hum grew softer, more human, as if it had finally remembered how to feel. And though no one could prove it, the travelers who came after swore they sometimes heard a voice in the wind, gentle and resolute, whispering, the heart remembers not what it lost, but what it learned to love again. The plain stretched endlessly before Leora, bathed in a pale morning light that felt almost unreal after the brilliance of the Citadel. The air smelled of rain yet untouched, of earth still dreaming. She walked, though she did not know where. The Citadel had not left her. Its echo lingered in her chest, a quiet rhythm that seemed to guide her steps. She could still feel it in the pulse beneath her skin, faint but insistent, like a heartbeat remembered from a dream. By the third day, she reached a ridge overlooking a valley blanketed in silver mist. From above, the plain seemed alive, streams of light crawling across the land, shifting and folding like ribbons of silk. And there, in the distance, she saw them, fragments of the Citadel, smaller spires of glass rising from the earth like stars that had fallen from the sky. Each glimmered faintly, humming a low resonance that matched the echo still within her. She descended carefully, drawn to a smaller glass tower perched atop a hill. The walls of this one were thinner, delicate, etched with patterns that seemed to move when viewed from different angles. She reached out to touch it, and the surface trembled like water beneath her fingers. A door formed, invisible, until she pressed the palm of her hand against it. Inside, the chamber was empty but alive. Light flowed along the walls, shifting into shapes she could not immediately comprehend. Then, slowly, figures began to take form, tall, translucent beings with eyes like molten silver. They spoke without sound, and the voice came not through the air but through her mind. "Welcome, Leora," it said, each word unfolding like a ribbon within her consciousness. "We are the keepers of the citadel. We existed before the walls were raised, before the first memory was ever given form." Her throat tightened. "Who? What are you?" "We are what remains of those who sought to understand the heart of humanity. Long ago, men and women came to us, carrying their grief, their joy, their fears. They asked for a place to preserve it, to make it tangible, so the world could remember not only what was lost but also what was learned. We built the citadel to hold echoes, to give memory form." The air around her shimmered, and suddenly she saw visions of the first humans to enter the citadel. They walked with trepidation, their hands brushing against walls of light, leaving traces that became threads of memory. Some smiled at their reflections. Others wept at the weight of what they had carried. Each contribution shaped the citadel, its walls rising higher, its glass harder, its light purer. "Why show me this?" she asked. "Because you are part of the chain now," the voice said. "Every heart that enters leaves a mark. The citadel grows with each understanding, each acceptance of what is, what was, and what might have been. But some marks are deeper, more resonant. You carry one such echo, the first willing to release without losing love." A sudden gust of wind moved through the chamber, carrying with it the faint scent of her childhood, of laughter, of rain-soaked streets. The keepers drifted closer, their forms fluid, and the chamber seemed to pulse in time with the echo in her chest. "There is more to learn," they continued. "The citadel does not only preserve memories, it tests them. Those who walk its halls are faced with choices, to hold, to release, to remember without attachment. And in that choice lies the secret of true understanding." Leora's mind raced. Then, "I am not done. I thought I had learned what I needed, that the echo was enough. What you learned is but the beginning," the voice said. "There is a source, a heart within the citadel, older than all memories. It is the origin of every echo, every reflection, every shimmer of light you have seen. To truly understand, to grasp the meaning, you must seek it. But beware, the journey is not for those who wish only comfort. It requires courage, and the willingness to become something new." The chamber shifted, and a passage opened beneath a spiral of glass that twisted downward into darkness. She peered into it, the walls glowing faintly, patterns moving like water over stones. The voice spoke once more. "This path leads to the heart. Only those who have released what they cling to may enter. Only those who accept the impermanence of all things may continue." Her pulse quickened. A part of her hesitated, memories tugging at her brother's laughter, the warmth of home, the echoes she had carried. But then she remembered the light she had felt, the quiet peace that had replaced the ache. That was enough. She had accepted, she had released, she had understood. With a breath, she stepped into the spiral. The light around her twisted and flowed, carrying her downward. The air felt alive, electric, charged with the weight of countless hearts that had passed this way before her. She saw fragments of memories floating past, small moments of courage, kindness, fear, love, each one a spark in the darkness. After what felt like hours but could have been seconds, the spiral ended. She stepped into a vast chamber, unlike any she had seen. The walls were liquid glass, reflecting not only her form but countless versions of herself. Some younger, some older, some laughing, some weeping. And at the center of the chamber stood a structure so immense it made her chest ache, a crystalline tree. Its branches spiraling infinitely, each leaf a glowing memory. Each root entwined with the very foundation of the citadel, the heart. The voice said, "Every echo originates here. Every memory, every hope, every loss feeds it, shapes it, grows it. It is alive with understanding. And it waits." Leora stepped closer, her reflection fracturing with each movement. She reached for the nearest leaf, and as her fingers brushed the glowing surface, a wave of understanding washed over her. She saw the first tears shed in the citadel, the first laughter preserved, the first fears faced and accepted. She felt the weight of centuries of humanity, carried in delicate glass and light. "All that is lost can be remembered," the voice whispered, "but not to undo, only to illuminate. To see the full measure of love, loss, and learning, one must witness it without clutching it to the heart. Only then is true wisdom born." Leora's breath caught. She saw herself in every leaf, every echo, and she saw her brother not as a phantom, not as a shadow, but as a living memory she could carry without pain. She realized then that the citadel had not been a test of grief, but a mirror of the heart. It did not erase sorrow. It transformed it into understanding, into strength, into the quiet power of acceptance. A branch of the crystalline tree bent toward her, and a single leaf detached, floating into her hands. It glowed warmly, resonant with the echo she had carried. She knew instinctively that this was the gift of the heart, the knowledge that what we hold most dearly does not vanish, but lives within us, reshaped, eternal in a way that pain could never touch. Will you take it? The voice asked. She looked at the leaf, the glow reflecting in her eyes. I will, she said. The moment her fingers closed around it, the chamber trembled, not with fear but with recognition. The citadel pulsed, a single, vibrant heartbeat echoing through every wall, every spire, every shard of glass she had ever touched. And then, as if the world had exhaled, the light receded, leaving her standing once again on the plain outside the citadel. The towers glimmered faintly, alive but quiet. And in her chest, the echo of the heart remained a soft and yielding rhythm that spoke of memory, understanding, and the courage to continue. She looked to the horizon, where fragments of the citadel caught the rising sun. For the first time, the world seemed endless but not overwhelming, filled with possibilities and reflections of all she had learned. She understood now. The citadel would never truly leave her, for its essence was woven into the way she saw, remembered, and loved. Leora began to walk again, the leaf glowing faintly in her hand, her steps lighter than ever before. Somewhere, far behind her, the citadel shimmered, alive with the pulse of countless hearts. And though she would never know what lay at the very edge of its reach, she understood this one truth. The journey to the heart was never about finding what was lost, it was about discovering the capacity to carry it forward, transformed within herself. And as she walked, the wind carried a faint hum, almost like a song of echoes, of memory, and of the quiet strength that blooms when one learns to see without holding too tightly, to love without clinging, and to remember without being bound. The sun had risen high when Leora reached the edge of a dense forest that seemed impossibly old, its trees tall and silver-barked, leaves like fragments of broken mirrors catching every ray of light. The air here hummed softly, resonating with the echo of the citadel still in her chest. She knew, without knowing how, that the path she was meant to follow led into the heart of these woods. Each step she took felt deliberate, guided not by sight but by a quiet intuition, as though the forest itself recognized her journey. The deeper she went, the more alive the place felt. Branches twisted in ways that defied logic, intertwining with one another to form natural corridors of light and shadow. Birds with feathers like glass flitted overhead, leaving trails of prismatic sparks in their wake. At times, she thought she heard whispers, words just beyond comprehension, the language of echoes that had traveled through the citadel and now reached her here. After hours of walking, she came to a clearing, and there, in the center, she saw others. They were not entirely like her, nor entirely like each other. Some appeared as semi-transparent forms, glowing faintly within her light. Others more solid, though their eyes shimmered with colors she did not recognize. They were gathered in a circle, hands joined, as if performing a ritual older than time. The air around them pulsed with a quiet energy, and as Leora stepped closer, the circle shifted to welcome her presence. You are not alone, a voice said, resonant and deep, coming from all around. Those who carry echoes find one another, though the world may keep them apart. One of the figures stepped forward, a woman with eyes like liquid silver. I am Celine, she said, and this is the Circle of Echoes. We come from all corners of the citadel's reach. Some seek understanding, some closure, some the courage to release what binds them. Each of us has been touched by the heart. Leora nodded, though words failed her. She realized instinctively that the warmth she carried, the leaf glowing softly in her hand, was a bridge of connection not just to the citadel, but to all those who had walked its halls before. You have released and accepted, Celine continued. That is why you are here. But the citadel is not merely a place to confront loss, it is a place to understand the resonance of all lives. Your echo will intertwine with others, and in that weaving lies the path forward. Leora's gaze drifted across the circle. Each person carried their own glow, their own silent music of memories. She felt the pull of their experiences, not as intrusion, but as invitation. Slowly, she extended her hand. When Celine took it, a spark ran between them, a pulse of recognition and understanding. Around them, the circle brightened, the air vibrating with shared echoes. The citadel shows us not only what was lost, the voice whispered again, but what might be born from understanding one another. Leora stepped fully into the circle. Suddenly, the clearing changed. Light rose from the forest floor in intricate patterns, weaving around the group, tracing paths in the air like living threads of silver and gold. The echoes in her chest pulsed in time with the collective rhythm of the circle. She realized that each person's release, each acceptance, each memory carried forward, contributed to a tapestry far greater than herself. Then she saw it, a fissure in the forest, narrow and winding, glowing faintly with the same light as the citadel. That, Celine said, following her gaze, leads to the wellspring. The heart is one, but its source is many. To understand truly, you must see how the threads converge, how the echoes mingle. But the journey is not easy, nor without peril. Only those who give of themselves freely may pass. Without hesitation, Leora stepped toward the fissure, the others close behind. The walls of the path shimmered, light refracting in strange patterns, revealing glimpses of lives intertwined past, present, and possibilities not yet lived. She reached out, brushing against the wall, and felt 1,000 tiny pulses, each a heartbeat, each a story, each an echo of choice and consequence. As they moved forward, the air grew heavier with presence weights of sorrow, joy, longing, courage, and fear all intermingling. Leora realized she could distinguish each thread, could feel its vibration, its resonance. And in that vast chorus of human experience, her own heartbeat became clear, a small, steady rhythm that harmonized with the others. At the path's end lay a chamber vast beyond comprehension. The wellspring, a pool of light, liquid and living, reflecting not only the sky but every memory, every moment, every echo that had ever touched the citadel. Around its edges, figures knelt, offering pieces of themselves, not objects, but fragments of memory, courage, understanding, and love. When these fragments touched the wellspring, the liquid glowed, rippling outward to illuminate all who were present. To touch the wellspring, Celine said softly, is to see the sum of existence as it truly is, not fragmented by loss, not diminished by separation, but unified by understanding. Leora approached, holding the leaf tightly in her hand. As her fingers brushed the surface, visions flooded her mind. She saw her brother's laughter not as something gone but as a strand within a vast web of moments. She saw the citadel's creation, the keepers, the countless echoes. She saw herself, small yet vital, connected to all. She felt the fear, the hope, the joy, the sorrow, the courage, the release, all interwoven in luminous threads. The wellspring pulsed, responding to her presence, and a voice, clear and unwavering, spoke directly to her heart. You see not only the past and present but the potential of what can be. The citadel exists not to preserve in isolation, but to illuminate the web of connection. Every echo you carry, every understanding you gain, touches the whole. This is the gift and the responsibility. Leora realized then that her journey was far from over. The citadel had shown her loss and love, grief and acceptance. The circle of echoes had shown her that no heart exists in isolation. And the wellspring revealed the true nature of all she had experienced, the power to weave her own echo into the vast tapestry of life, shaping not only memory but understanding, compassion, and the possibility of hope. She released the leaf into the wellspring. It floated, glowing faintly, merging with countless other fragments, until it became indistinguishable from the light of the pool itself. And as it merged, Leora felt herself change, not in body, not in form, but in perception, in depth. She understood, finally, that the citadel had never been about finding what was lost but about recognizing the power in what remained and in what could be created anew. Around her, the circle of echoes brightened, their lights harmonizing with the wellspring, weaving a melody of memory, of presence, of connection that resonated through the forest and beyond. And Leora, standing at the center, felt a joy that was not hers alone, but shared, infinite, enduring. She knew now that the citadel's purpose was not merely to preserve, not merely to teach, but to unite, to transform the echoes of countless lives into a living, breathing understanding of what it meant to exist, to remember, and to love without clutching, to see without demanding, to carry without being burdened. As they departed the wellspring, each member of the circle carrying their newfound understanding, Leora felt the pulse of the citadel not only within her chest but in every breath, every step, every heartbeat. The world outside was the same, yet it shimmered differently, full of hidden threads, infinite possibilities, and echoes waiting to be heard, understood, and woven into the great tapestry of life. And for the first time, She understood that the journey was not toward the citadel but through it, through connection, understanding, and the quiet courage to carry the light of memory forward. The forest beyond the wellspring was quieter now, yet it thrummed with the resonance of every echo Leora had felt since first entering the citadel. She walked with Selene and the others, their steps forming a rhythm that mirrored the soft, steady pulse within her chest, the echo of the heart. Each branch, each mirrored leaf, seemed to hum faintly, as though acknowledging their passage. And yet, beneath that harmony, she sensed a tension, an undercurrent of questions unanswered, threads not yet untangled. Selene led them to a narrow gorge carved into the forest floor, its walls shimmering with translucent veins of light. The path twisted downward, spiraling into the earth, and the air grew warmer, heavier, carrying scents both strange and familiar. Leora felt the pull of the citadel in every step, as though it had not fully released her, as if it had more to reveal. This path, Selene said softly, leads to the foundry, where the keepers first formed the citadel. It is where echoes are born and shaped, but it is not a place for the faint-hearted. Here, understanding comes with confrontation. Leora's brow furrowed. Confrontation with what? With truth, Selene replied. With the parts of ourselves that we have yet to face. Only by seeing them clearly can we shape the echoes we carry forward. The gorge opened into a cavern of impossible scale. Its walls were alive with flowing patterns of light, twisting and reshaping constantly. At its center, a circle of keepers hovered, their forms radiant and fluid. Some were tall and slender, some squat and wide, but all shimmered like molten glass. Leora felt their presence before she saw them, the weight of eons, of knowledge, of countless hearts preserved and understood. Welcome, traveler, a keeper spoke, its voice both singular and collective, echoing through her mind. You have come far, and yet the journey is not complete. To understand the citadel fully, you must witness the origins of its power. You must see how the first echoes were forged. A wall of light unfolded before them, forming images so vivid they seemed alive. Leora saw the earliest visitors to the citadel, wandering into a barren landscape where nothing had yet taken shape. They carried grief, hope, love, fear, and joy, their hearts raw and open. Each step they took left a mark on the land, a ripple that the keepers shaped into the first structures of the citadel. Glass walls rose from footprints, spires formed from whispered words, light poured from the honesty of emotion itself. The citadel was not built, the voice continued. It was grown from understanding, from recognition, from the courage to see oneself reflected in every other heart. Leora watched, transfixed, as a young girl reached into a pool of light and withdrew a fragment of her own memory. The fragment glowed, pulsing with life, and the keepers guided it into the forming walls. The glass shimmered, responding to her intent, absorbing the essence without diminishing the original. Every echo became a part of the structure, and every structure became a vessel for echoes yet to come. Do you see? Selene asked quietly. The citadel is alive because it is composed of choice, awareness, and release. Every memory it holds has been offered freely, without demand, without possession. Only those who are willing to give can shape its growth. Leora stepped closer, her fingers brushing against the glowing surface of the cavern wall. Instantly, a vision entered her mind, a memory not her own, yet familiar. A man offering a final act of forgiveness to someone who had wronged him. She felt the weight of both sorrow and relief, the delicate balance of holding on and letting go. It resonated deeply, intertwining with the echo of her brother, her own grief, her courage, and her understanding. The keeper's guide, the voice explained, but they do not control. They do not judge. They only shape the potential of the hearts that enter, reflecting what is true and what may yet be. A soft light descended from the cavern ceiling, forming a path that spiraled upward. Leora understood that this was the next stage, the ascent toward comprehension, not just of the citadel's origin, but of her own place within its eternal design. As they climbed, visions continued to unfold around them. Faces of those she had known, echoes of choices she had made, moments she had long buried. They appeared, intertwined with strangers' memories, creating a tapestry of human experience she had never imagined. Each vision left her changed, altered not physically but in the quiet depth of her perception. She understood that the citadel's lessons were cumulative. Every encounter, every echo, every release added to the weight of comprehension she now carried. At the apex of the path, a chamber opened unlike any she had seen. Light poured from every surface, refracted through intricate glass formations that twisted into impossible geometries. At its center hovered the first keeper, a being of immense presence, radiant beyond comprehension. Its form both solid and fluid, casting reflections that danced across the chamber walls. "You have come far," the first keeper said, its voice carrying both authority and warmth. "You have faced grief, acceptance, connection, and understanding. You have carried the echoes of the Citadel and learned the power of release. But now you must see the final truth. The Citadel is not merely a place of memory. It is a mirror of the heart. What you have learned is not only about loss or love, it is about transformation." Leora stepped forward, her heart steady despite the overwhelming presence. "Transformation," she whispered. Double quotes. "Yes," the keeper replied. "The Citadel shapes what enters it, yes, but it also shapes those who walk its halls. Each release, each acceptance, each understanding, alters the very essence of those who come. You are no longer the person who first sought the Citadel. You are a convergence of your own echoes, the echoes you have encountered, and the understanding you carry forward." A light extended toward her, forming a delicate, translucent thread that intertwined with the pulse in her chest. Leora felt it merge seamlessly with her essence, a perfect harmony of memory, courage, and insight. She realized then that she had become part of the Citadel itself, not trapped within it, but connected, a living node in its vast, intricate web. "And now," the first keeper said, "you may choose. You may remain as a guardian, a guide for those who come after, or you may return to the world outside, carrying the echo of understanding to weave it into the lives you touch. Both paths are necessary, both are sacred. Which do you choose?" Leora paused, feeling the weight of possibility. She thought of the world beyond the forest, of people whose hearts carried silent echoes, of the lives she might touch with the knowledge she now bore. And she thought of the Citadel, its vast beauty, its lessons, its living light, pulsing in time with hers. "I will return," she said finally. "I will carry it with me." The first keeper nodded, and the chamber brightened, refracting light in waves that mirrored the pulse in her chest. The keepers around her shimmered, their forms fluid, radiant, and welcoming. The Citadel's hum rose once more, gentle but insistent, as if acknowledging the choice she had made. And then she was walking again through the forest, the echoes of the Citadel alive within her, her vision alive with patterns of light, understanding, and possibility. She knew the journey was not over, not for her, not for anyone touched by the Citadel, but she also knew that she carried its lessons, its pulse, and its infinite grace within herself. Every step she took forward resonated with purpose, and every breath reminded her that memory and understanding, loss and acceptance, love and release, were not ends in themselves, but threads in a tapestry infinitely larger than any single life. Far above, the spires of the Citadel shimmered through the trees, silent, alive, waiting for the next traveler who would follow its light and uncover the echoes of their own heart. The forest thinned at last, and Leora stepped into the open plains, the air around her shimmering with the faint residue of the Citadel's pulse. The journey back was unlike any path she had walked before. Each step felt lighter, yet weighted with significance. She could feel the echoes she had gathered, not as burdens, but as luminous threads weaving through her being, guiding her purpose in ways she could only begin to comprehend. The villages she passed along the plains appeared unchanged at first glance, ordinary in their simplicity, yet Leora noticed details she had never seen before. The quiet whirring etched on a mother's brow, the hesitation in a young man's step, the longing in a child's gaze. Each echo she carried responded, faintly, subtly, as if the Citadel's light had extended beyond its walls, seeking out hearts attuned to its pulse. She arrived at the first village as evening fell, the sky a canvas of molten gold and violet. The villagers gathered in small groups near the central square, their voices low, eyes bright with curiosity. Leora understood without words that her presence here was different. She was no longer simply a traveler. She carried the resonance of understanding, the quiet weight of release, the illumination of the heart. A child approached her, hesitant, clutching a small, worn doll. The boy's eyes mirrored fear and hope, a mirror of echoes she had seen within the Citadel itself. Without thinking, she knelt and touched his hand, feeling the tremor of sorrow hidden beneath his courage. A warmth pulsed from her chest into his, and the boy's lips curved into a tentative smile. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but it was enough. Nearby, a man sat alone on a bench, head bowed in silent struggle. Leora approached, offering no words at first, only presence. The pulse of the Citadel's echo responded to his anguish, weaving through her hands, through her gaze, through the quiet rhythm of her heartbeat. Slowly, the tension in his shoulders eased. His breath deepened, and he lifted his head. meeting her eyes with a spark of understanding he could not name. As night fell, Leora walked among the villagers, and with each encounter, she sensed the interconnectedness of all things. The echoes she carried from the citadel did not erase sorrow or fear, but they illuminated paths through them, subtle yet profound. She realized the true lesson of the citadel. Its power did not lie solely in memory, nor in the shaping of light and glass, but in the ability to carry understanding into the lives of others, transforming the ordinary into the extraordinary through presence and compassion. By dawn, she reached the edge of the plains, where the horizon stretched endlessly, and the first spires of the citadel shimmered faintly in the distance. She paused, reflecting on the journey she had taken: the halls of light, the wellspring, the keepers, the heart, and the circle of echoes. All of it was alive within her, shaping the way she moved, breathed, and perceived. The thought settled in her mind, quiet yet insistent. The citadel was not a destination but a seed. The echoes it held could grow beyond its walls, carried by those who had walked its halls, those who had released and accepted, those who had transformed. Leora understood that she would never truly leave the citadel behind. It would remain a part of her heartbeat, guiding her to illuminate what she encountered, to weave echoes into the lives of others, and to live in the resonance of memory and understanding. She turned to the village behind her. The faces of those she had touched etched into her memory not as fragments, but as luminous threads interwoven with her own echo. The wind carried faint hums of connection, the subtle pulse of the citadel's resonance, a reminder that she was never alone, that no heart was ever truly isolated. And so she walked onward, into the world beyond the plains, carrying within her the light of understanding, the quiet strength of acceptance, and the infinite possibility of echoes transformed. The spires of the citadel shimmered far above, silent yet alive, and she knew that somewhere within its glass heart, the journey continued, not just for her, but for all who would follow, all who would release, and all who would choose to see without clinging, to love without binding, and to carry memory without burden. In the days and years to come, she would learn that each life she touched carried a reflection of the citadel within it, a spark of understanding that would ripple outward, subtle yet enduring, shaping the unseen tapestry of countless hearts. And every time she felt the pulse of that echo within her chest, she remembered the citadel was not merely a place of glass and light. It was the living reflection of the heart itself, infinite, unyielding, and alive with the power to transform. And somewhere far beyond the horizon, the citadel shimmered once more, waiting, alive, humming the quiet, eternal song of echoes, memories, and the infinite courage of hearts willing to see, to release, and to carry forward.